Continuing on in our 12-part series covering, of course, my Self-Publishing with Dale book series here. We're just gonna kind of set one up and hit it on down here in the coming weeks. And this week, we're going to be talking about Amazon advertising. And it's often a contentious area. A lot of people say, hey, it doesn't work. Or some people say it works, but you got to have a lot of money. But I hate to tell you that, well, both are kind of right. How do you get it to where you can make these book ads actually work? Well, I want to share some of the proven strategies for authors. And it's not sexy, by the way. You're not going to be like, wow, that's mind-blowing. It's actually easier than you think. And all you're going to need to do is make sure you stay tuned to today's podcast to get a little bit more of the 411. Hey, I think you guys know I always go right into talking a little bit more about my sponsors. And today, Book Award Pro. Now, looking to get your book the recognition it deserves? Introducing Book Award Pro, the ultimate service for authors ready to elevate their work. Their expert team helps you navigate the world of book awards, connecting you with the right contests to showcase your talent. With their tailored strategies, you'll maximize your chances of winning prestigious awards that can boost your credibility and increase sales. Plus, Book Award Pro offers comprehensive support throughout the entire process, from selecting the best contests to crafting compelling submissions. Don't let your hard work go unnoticed. Join the ranks of successful authors who have transformed their careers with their Book Award Pro. Now, I want to share with you just a personal anecdote here. Over the past couple of weeks, I got 2 book awards for the third book in my Self-Publishing with Dale series called Advertising for Books, which we're going to be talking a little bit about today in today's podcast. Now, I picked up a finalist nod from the Goody Business Book Awards for marketing and sales. And just yesterday, I saw it right before I went to bed, I won the American Writing Awards for business and sales. Now, this makes 36 book awards for 8 books to date using Book Award Pro. They are fantastic at what they do. Take the first step towards your award-winning journey today when you visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. But hang on, that's not all. For a limited time, yes, for a very limited time, you can get 25% off your first month when you use my Black Friday deal link at dalelinks.com/bookawardprodeal. This offer is good till the end of January 2025. So you got a little bit of wiggle room. If it's after January 2025, all you got to do is go back to dalelinks.com/bookawardpro and just get the normal services. So worth it. You got the free plan all the way up to the pro plan, which I use for some of my books. I think you'll find it very helpful. All right, let's go ahead and transition over into talking about Amazon ads. Now, hopefully you're not tuning in to find out various ads on other platforms. This is my wheelhouse here, talking about Amazon advertising. Now, why Amazon ads? What's the biggest deal about this one? It's the path of least resistance. You hear me say that quite often when it comes to self-publishing. You got to find that path of least resistance in all walks of your self-publishing business. And this one is no exception. Why is it the path of least resistance? Well, there's tons of free online resources, including the Amazon advertising certification courses. Now, I know some folks wait for me to go through every year to take these courses, but don't rely solely on me to give you all the information you would otherwise be able to get in their courses. It's 100% free. All you got to do is inside your dashboard, top right-hand corner, there is a question mark. Left click on that, and there will be a pop-out, and it'll have all the different videos and the different modules and different courses you can go ahead and take. Select any one of those and pop on in there to the Amazon Advertising Certification course. There is tons of content. I would recommend that you start out with KDP. That's probably one of the best ways to figure out the full system. But I would say transition over to understanding more things like the sponsored product ads. The sponsored brand ads is also another one to look into. And if you're a glutton for punishment, you can always look up lock screen ads, but I never encourage lock screen ads. I'm sure their days are numbered at this point because they don't seem very effective and they like to burn through a budget now. All right, so the other reason why it's the path of least resistance is, well, you're advertising on a platform that it's a warm audience. They're there to spend money. They're there to browse deals and such. You get over to a platform like, say, Facebook, or you go to a platform like Google or YouTube, you're not dealing with this warm an audience. That audience is there to engage in social media or be on YouTube or just browse the internet. They're not so much interested in buying books. Now, does that mean it's impossible to sell books through those types of ads? No, not by any stretch. but you have a better likelihood of converting a sale through Amazon, in my opinion. So you got that warm audience. And again, I've kind of already mentioned it. It's much easier to navigate versus those other platforms. There's not as much granular control over on Amazon ads as what you get through something like Facebook and Google ads. But I've seen as time has gone on, Amazon ads become a little bit more intricate, a little bit more granular, a little bit more detailed. So I'm sure in due time, they're going to probably be just as difficult as the other platforms. But for right now, in my opinion, it's really easy to deal with. So now, big disclaimer here. Big disclaimer before I start dispensing any advice. Do not invest what you cannot afford to lose. All right? Just because you've put money into an advertising campaign does not mean that you're entitled to book sales. It's going to take a lot of iterating and improving. You have to be willing to learn this business, and part of learning is spending money on some ad campaigns that don't convert to sales. But just because it hasn't converted to sales does not mean that you don't get some data out of it. And that's the most important thing. When you start to invest in any money in it, don't look at an ad going, oh my gosh, I just lost $3 today. I didn't get a single sale. Oh, well, no. You might have lost $3, but there is evidence inside your account where you can find through your search term report that it's going to change things. And I'll go a little bit more granular on that. But all that to say this, don't invest what you cannot afford to lose, all right? It's much like going into a casino. Don't expect to win every single game when you're going in there. Go in there to have fun and learn the whole process, and then in due time, you'll start to scale up and win a lot better and bigger over through Amazon ads. All right, got that out of the way. I just have to do that. All right, I want to kind of address two of my listening audience here. There's two sectors, if you will. There's going to be some newbies. We got a lot of newbies that pay attention to my podcast. And then, of course, there are the established authors. Now, established authors, hang in there for a second. We're going to go through some of the fundamentals before we come over to some more of the advanced tactics. Now, let's start out with newbies here. Where should newbies start? The very, very basics. And when I mean very basics, strip it on down. What you must do right out the gate. I know this is probably frustrating for you to hear me and say this, that you're listening to a podcast where I'm trying to tell you the information, but I'm also telling you like, hey, go take the Amazon advertising certification courses. It's so worth it. There is one specifically about KDP that you'll want to take, or the sponsored product ad certification, also a fantastic one. Go through each one of those. It's going to illuminate more things than you're going to learn within a podcast. When I first started doing the Amazon advertising certification courses, because they'll certify you for a year at a time, when I first started doing it, it was just reading. They had a bunch of multiple choice questions in their quizzes and things like that. Now it's a lot more robust. They have a lot more, halfway point quizzes. They have videos that you'll go through. It's become a lot more interactive and actually quite enjoyable. So it is really, really good. I would recommend all newbies start there. No, you don't need to go spend $800 over on someone's designer course showing you how to use Amazon ads, because you're going to get the same information, if not better, directly from the source. Just go right on over to them. Next, start with sponsored product ads only. Do not touch sponsored brand ads, and do not touch lock screen ads. In fact, for the rest of this discussion, take lock screen ads, crumple it up, throw it in the trash. All right, it's just trash at this point. It's not good, not worth your time. It'll suck money out of your bank account like a Hoover vacuum. Don't even bother with it. So sponsored product ads is where you're going to go. Now, stop for just a moment. I'm going to give you something. Seems a little bit risky, and some people would probably disagree with this advice, but I found out by and large, most of the authors that I've helped coach and I've consulted with have found that doing sponsored product ads with automated targeting on one product is the most effective in getting some good traction. Now, there are some people that go, wait a second, automated ads, doesn't that mean that I let Amazon control all of it? Yeah. You allow them to go ahead and manage all the targeting. Now, the reason why I'm going to send a newbie over there is because it makes it dead simple. You don't need to figure out what you need to target. You don't need to figure out anything like cost per click, because it's going to give you a good idea as to the average cost per click with the current advertisers. So there's less guesswork in it. Now, if you're doing the automated targeting, there are two different types when you're inside the US. You have custom text ads, and then you just have the normal ads. Avoid custom text. If you're great at copywriting, fantastic, run with it, but I would recommend just stick with the normal ads. So that way it's just serving your product to folks without you having to worry about putting in the right type of copywriting. Again, you're a newbie. I want to take it simple here. Now, the reason why you're going to do automated targeting is they're going to source the information for you. Yeah. You don't need to have some designer product. You don't need to have secret insights or anything else like that when Amazon can literally do the work for you. They can figure out all of the targeting for you. Now, just to be clear here, going into this, keep your budget low. We're talking around $1 to $10 per day. Don't go above that. I mean, if you could afford it, go for it, but I would recommend keep it about $1 to $10 per day. Don't expect big, momentous type things happening with $1 per day. Don't expect to be selling thousands of books with that much. It's enough to kind of get your feet wet and start to, again, source more of the data from Amazon. Have them handle it. You're just essentially having Amazon source that information for you, so that way, when you go back and you're monitoring your ads, you can then adjust the targeting accordingly. Now, let's start out with the targeting, because I'm going to go into another area here where we're going to figure out what's going to be the high converting and what's going to be the low converting stuff. Let's look at the targeting first off. As soon as you fire off a campaign, you're going to see 4 different types of targets inside the automated targeting campaign. If you're not getting any impressions, this means that you're going to need to raise your bid. Will it be a substantial amount? I don't know. Get it to where you understand that how much you spend cost per click, what is going to be the amount that's going to break even. So if you're setting up like a cost per click at $3 and you have a book that's say 99 cents, chances are very likely you're going to lose your hat. You're going to lose probably more than just your hat. You're going to lose a lot. So walk it back just a little bit here. So what I would recommend is get that cost per click to where you understand, okay, maybe 10 cents. You set it 10 cents cost per click. Let's say your profit is $1 per book. I'm not saying that for the 99-cent book here, by the way, folks. We'll just say it's $1. If your profit is $1 per sale, this means that in order to break even, you need to at least get 1 out of every 10 clicks converting to a sale. That's so important that you can be able to get that all dialed in. All right, so no impressions, raise the bid. Now, what happens if you're getting the impression but you're not getting the clicks? Now, there's a couple of different solutions here. And I used to give blanketed advice on this one here, but I'm actually going to give you 2 different answers. When it comes to no clicks, there's 2 reasons. Either your targeting's off or your cover design's off. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is either remove or change the targeting. If you're finding that the targeting is not favoring you, that it's just burning through click or has no clicks whatsoever, then chances are very likely maybe it's not the right type of targeting. Give automated targeting campaigns at least a couple of weeks before you start shutting off the targeting and going, I don't know, this is getting too high for a cost per click. Should I remove it? Give it a couple of weeks because it's going to be able to source some information. And then I'm going to get to that in here in just a second. Now, the next option, of course, is tweaking your cover design. You're being served to the right audience, but for whatever reason, your cover design is not enticing enough for them to click on that ad and find out more about your product. Now, let's just say you got the impressions, you got the clicks, but there are no sales. At this point, you have 2 options. Possibly 3. I'm going to throw this third one in here. I didn't have it in my notes, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it anyways. Tweak your book description. So what happens is we've got the impressions. This means our ads being served out to the audiences. It isn't until they click on your ad that you start to pay for it. At this point, they go over to your product page. What are they going to do? They're going to probably read your book description. They already looked at your book cover. Chances are very likely they were already enticed on over with that. So we don't need to worry about that. So when they're reading that book description, is it enticing enough to convert to a sale? You can't just simply have some summary of your book. You can't have a single sentence line and expect that to convert to really good sales. The next thing you're going to want to weigh in on is the price point. Is that price point a little too high for your audience? That is where you're going to need to do a lot more studying, figure out where the marketplace is at and what your readers are typically spending on your books and the niche for your, the niche of your books, excuse me. And of course, the other one's going to be reviews. Get your reviews dialed in. And a lot of people want to know, like, how many reviews is going to be enough? You just need reviews. And by and large, according to Amazon advertising certification courses, 15 reviews or more is what they consider retail ready, with a 3.5 star average or greater for those reviews. So set that as your goal. I mean, I've had some issues with that before where it's like, I don't have that 15. I need to kind of stack that up. But the thing is, don't just stop at 15. You're going to want to make sure that you are doing more and more as time goes on. Just make it a regular part of your business strategy of getting more reviews for your books, because recency plays a huge factor in encouraging more sales. All right, now the next step you're going to need to do is you're going to need to screen targets in your search terms report. I screen mine once per week, and I also get it to where I have reports shot to me on a monthly basis of my search terms report on a global scale. I want to make sure that I get those search terms report. Now, the search terms report is quite simply this. How was your ad served up to a customer? Was it based on a specific keyword or a product? And was that keyword relevant? And I'm talking about a perceived relevance. Let's say, for instance, I'm promoting my Werebear Shapeshifter book. Would it make much sense that I had, I don't know, like a dog care book keyword target of some sort? No, not really. I mean, even if someone could make the argument that I've converted in sales really well with that, that's great. But the problem is that confuses the Amazon algorithms. So what I will do is if I find something that is low converting and is 100% irrelevant, what I will do is I'll take that from the search terms report, I'll copy it, and then I'll go over into the campaign level, not the ad group level. Keep in mind, campaign is when you have numerous different ads that go underneath this. The ad groups, that's what's underneath the campaign level. What we want to do is go up to the campaign level inside the negative targeting. And we're going to take those irrelevant and low converting keywords and products and plop them right on in there. That way, anytime we start up a new ad group with inside an ad campaign, it's going to suppress those targets. So that way we never have to pay for that ever again. If we did it just on the ad group level, it would only affect that ad group alone and not the other ad groups along with it. Now, is this detrimental? No. Feel free to go ahead and explore and experiment, but I found out by and large that if you're not suppressing it on a campaign level for the automated targeting sponsored product ads, it gets messy. You start spending money redundantly on the things that are irrelevant or poor converting. Now, the next thing you're going to want to make sure you're paying attention to are the high converting targets, and you're going to find that inside your search terms report. And the reason why you want to pay attention to that, because this is how we are sourcing Amazon to do all the work for us. It's pretty awesome. If you find these high converting keywords or you have those products, then you can move on to the very next step, which we're going to talk about here in just a second here. But for the most part, what you're going to do is take those specific targets, build a campaign on them, a manual campaign, and then you're ready to rock and roll. Again, remember though, if you do start up another campaign, it's very similar to this one, grab your negative keywords as far as the keywords goes and as far as the products go. Bring it over to that new campaign so that way you know it never gets touched again and you don't have to pay for anything excessively. Now, where should established authors start? Established authors should continue to go with sponsored products and sponsored brands. Lock screen ads, throw them in the trash. They're garbage. Just throw it in the trash, take it outdoors, set it on fire. Unless, of course, you're inside city limits, and at that point, you probably shouldn't do that. So just pretend like you set it on fire and laugh maniacally as it just goes ablaze. Lock screen ads, garbage. Sponsored products, sponsored brands, good to go. Now, with sponsored brands, it's a little bit different. Sponsored brands is essentially like a banner ad of sorts, where it will advertise 3 of your books or more on a single product page when someone clicks on that specific banner ad. It sometimes will burn through your budget pretty quickly, I've found with sponsored brands, but if you get it really dialed in with all your targeting, you're going to be pretty good to go. Now, when you're doing your sponsored products, if you're an established author, I would recommend do manual targeting. Manual targeting is by far one of the best ways to mitigate any unnecessary expenses. You can be able to remove any of the targets that don't make sense, and you can just control everything down to a granular level. Automated targeting, not so much. It's a lot of trial and error. You're spending a lot on clicks on some stuff that is really irrelevant. Manual targeting, much better. Now, if you don't want to do the newbie step that I was sharing with you, where you're having automated targeting, source all the information, and then start the manual targeting, that's fine. If you've got a software like Publisher Rocket, Publisher Rocket's fantastic for that, among many other things. They have an Amazon Ads feature where you're able to take your book and it will target that. The only problem, is the fact that you can only have 2 projects per license. I know, that's one of the things when it comes to lifetime license deals, they will limit the amount that you actually have. Now, if for some reason you need to open up the floodgates, reach out to the folks over at Publisher Rocket. Speaking of Publisher Rocket, you can get access to that over at dalelinks.com/rocket. There is a link, of course, in the show notes as per usual. One-time fee. It is so worth it. I've been using it for a long time, and I continue to use Publisher Rocket whenever I'm setting up any of my Amazon ad campaigns through manual targeting. But what it does is just scrapes data for relevant targets based on your book. It's really neat. You don't want to go too crazy on the number of targets inside a campaign. Less is more. I know they will allow you up to 1,000 targets inside a manual targeting campaign. You probably shouldn't do that. There was a day when we could get away with doing something like that. Now it just confuses the algorithms. Get it to where you are very dialed in. We're talking like 50 or less targets. No more than 100 targets. 100's probably still even excessive. I bring it down to about good 5 to 10 of them. And I can always break that up into different ad groups if I wanted to. So that way, if I find that one particular target isn't converting over the other, it's easier for me to go ahead and shut that off, prune that specific target or even that ad group. So that way it doesn't take down the rest of the campaign. But it is really nice that you're able to do those types of things. Now, there are other ways you can go through, and you can do it through products, including categories or individual products for your manual targeting. Generally speaking, I usually try to lean towards keywords and products. Some folks have had some great success with categories, but the problem is if you have a very large category that your book is part of or that you're advertising to, that is literally going to be dipping into hundreds, if not thousands of books within a given category, and some of them aren't appropriate. There are times that you find some low content books within a given category, and then your stuff is being served to that audience that would normally be interested in low content books or not interested, and then just you're wasting clicks at this point. I highly recommend that you audit your ads at least every week. For instance, every Thursday morning I get up, that's the very first thing I touch. I go in Thursday mornings, I bust open my Amazon Ads account, and I go through and I audit everything. That way I make sure I'm tweaking any of my cost per clicks, my daily budgets, and of course, pruning off any bad ads or bad targets. It takes a lot of practice here, folks. Now, if you have a successful ad group, just remember to keep that successful ad group up and going, prune anything that is poor performing. So if there's a bad ad group within a campaign and a good one, get rid of that bad group. All right, go start another campaign with something else with that targeting, but don't take down that ad group that's performing really well with a crappy one. Create new campaigns based on high performing keywords. That is one of the best ways to kind of go about things. Now remember, take your negative targeting with you. There's no need to spend money on a target that doesn't convert. And last but not least here, folks, trial and error. This is not a one-size-fits-all platform here, folks. You'll need to experiment and find what works for you and your niche. Take some time, and I know that sucks when you're having to spend your money, having to figure out, okay, what's going to work for me, what's not going to work for me. It takes some time to figure out. Hey, folks, as we start to wrap up today's little podcast here, get your book the recognition it deserves with the Book Award Pro. Their expert team connects you with the right contests and provides tailored strategies to maximize your chances of winning prestigious awards. Join successful authors and transform your career today at dalelinks.com/Book Award Pro. Special thanks to my longtime sponsors at Book Award Pro for their support. I've mentioned this before, I believe, on the podcast here, that my first book in my series, Self-Publishing for New Authors, was just submitted for a Pulitzer Prize in general nonfiction. I won't know the winner until May, and it's killing me, but it's really cool to know that I actually have my book among other Pulitzer Prize award-winning books potentially. And fingers crossed, hopefully it works out for me. Big thanks to Book Award Pro for making that one happen. Here are my final thoughts. Is Amazon ads for everyone? Well, yes and no. If you have the budget, then great, it is for you. It's probably going to work out. Just remember, this is not something that you can just set up like a couple days or a couple of weeks. You're going to probably need to think about this in perpetuity. You're going to need to keep on playing into this. This is a budget that I always kind of set off to the side. I think to myself, okay, I got a few $100 for this particular book for the next month. How am I going to perform this? If I'm going to do more ad groups, I need to figure out how I'm going to get that amount of ads, or that much budget. So just take your time. There is no wrong answer on this one. If it's right for you, go for it if you've got the budget. Now, if you don't have the budget, I still recommend you study the Amazon advertising certification courses. You learn so much more about Amazon's platform and how it functions, and especially its algorithms and how it works when you're going to the Amazon advertising certification courses. You're going to find a lot of really cool things. Like, for instance, one really interesting fact is A+ content is actually indexed inside the Amazon algorithms. And so when you have your A+ content with anything that's text-based or image-based, and you're using keywords on your images, that right there is another way to make your books discoverable through Amazon search engines. Pretty cool, right? I found that out through Amazon advertising certification courses. So even if you don't have the budget, take the courses. So worth it. For more details about how to run successful Amazon advertising campaigns, pick up my 2-time award-winning book, Advertising for Books. It's a guide to promoting and selling with the largest online bookseller, aka Amazon. Visit dalelinks.com/adsbook to get your copy at any of the major online retailers and libraries now. And as we start to wrap up today's broadcast, of course, we're going to go into part 4 of this 12-part series. We're going to be talking about the secret to building a network of influential authors and readers. A lot of people say, Dale, it must be nice. Dale, it must be nice. And Dale, it must be nice. You know why I know it's nice? It's because I've got a massive network of folks that I rely on. And this is a huge reason why I've been so successful within this business, is because of the work with my network. You want to find out more details about that? Stay tuned to next week's podcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I thank you so much for tuning in.